welcome everyone to the Live Limitless Summit, where we are focusing all about having empowered, abundant, and conscious relationships. So, to those of you who don't know me, I'm Neepam Jain, and I love facilitating and transforming people's limiting belief, pain, and trauma so that they can be the best version of themselves. So, what are relationships? Relationships, they form a very integral part of each and every one of our lives. And I believe they are all intertwined, whether it is your business, whether it is your money situations, whether it is your life partner, or whether it is being a parent. It all begins from you. And when you are a parent, it's all the more very important to understand the parent child relationship in a conscious way. So, on that note, I have someone very special today with us on the show who believes that being a parent, you have to be conscious, you have to be mindful. So, welcome, Dr. Mona, over here. I'm so excited to have you with us today.
Hi, Nipam. Thank you so much for having me over. Thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Yes. So Dr. Mona is a Gurgaon-based mindful parenting speaker, coach, and author, and her work involves helping parents. As I mentioned, she's a parenting speaker. She's a certified parenting coach, mindful expert, and the author of the best-selling book, Raising a Mindful Parent. Her mission is to help parents raise incredibly confident, happy, fully expressed kids who are thriving emotionally. So I'm over to you, Dr. Mona. We would really like to go deeper into this thing, that what made you choose this as your field in your journey? What inspired you to be a parenting coach?
Right. So, actually, I mean, my education is also somewhere related to this field. I am a doctor by profession and I have a diploma in child psychology. But this is not what I was following. And then something happened, with my children when my children were growing up. So, there was an incident which happened with my children. And, before that, I was thinking, because of my education and my exposure to parenting, I am, my children are going to be perfect, and I am trying to be a perfect parent. But I was shown the reality by my children, and so that led me to think, where have I gone wrong? So what happened that, after having so much of exposure and knowledge, that I actually went wrong with my own upbringing of my own children. So then that led me into the asking questions and finding more answers and solutions. And this is where I stumbled upon what is known as the mindful parenting, or the conscious parenting, or the new age parenting. And this is when, I mean, it was a mind opening kind of the philosophy behind it. And that led me to I followed that with my children, that why not give it a try. Right, it sounded very good. I was like, why not give it a try on my children? So, and I mean, when I actually, it has a rollout, it had a lot of restraint on my, my way of thinking, because the way I was conditioned with the traditional form of parenting, and coming to this new age was quite different to follow. But then, yes, I did everything, and what results came were really surprising. How the my relation with my children, that was, enriched, and it opened up in a very new way. And the result it showed on my children, the development, the growth, and their progress, that was also remarkable. So then it just led to parents asking me, what have you done? I mean, the classmates of my children, so what are you doing, what have you done, have you done something? So I just started telling people about it, and everybody benefited. So that was the point, when I actually realized that, why not take it on a larger level? Why not, spread it out to the people, so that, for the maximum benefit. So what I have benefited, and I was in an ignorant phase, so why not, educate everyone else and tell them aware, make them more aware about this form of parenting. So that is where it happened. The book came in, and all the things followed regarding
So
that.
what exactly is this conscious parenting? I mean, you're talking a lot, so I'm a little more curious to know, like, what was the steps and what that changed into your kids, and what were the difficulties you faced, and so could you just let us?
So yes, so the traditional form of parenting is that we tell the child. So whenever a child comes to us with any kind of a problem, so we are like, yeah, we know, do it this way. So we try to make a solution, ready-made solution for our children, because at the somewhere we have in our mind that failing is not good. This has been conditioned into our being, that failing is not good. So we cannot see our children failing. We do not, because we take it that if our children are failing, we are failing somewhere as a parent. So we do not want to take that. So we provide ready-made solutions to all the children, any problem they have, and in a way we are making them mini me kind of a version, that what I am doing, what my thinking is, you start doing this way, you start doing things the way I am saying. And we are curbing their own natural creative process in the being. So mindful parenting says that let the child bloom on its own. So let the child make mistakes they are meant to make, so then only they will find the way ahead. Otherwise it will be like, when they grow up, so then the frustration comes. If you see the generation we have around 35 to 45-year-old people, so they were like all raised on the traditional parenting way. So they were like running behind one goal after the other, getting good marks in class 10, getting good marks in class 12, getting a good job, getting a good prestigious college, good job. And after doing everything, now when their parents are not there to tell them what next to do, they feel suddenly that hollowness in between. So that's why all this midlife crisis and all the terms are coming in. So this is an effect that when you keep on guiding the children, and at one time when you leave them, so they are lost. So mindful parenting says that from the very beginning, let them find their own way, and you just be a silent support behind them. Telling them that whenever they are falling wrong somewhere, guiding them at that point, but not interfering in them to find the way.
It is
So
so
that is,
actually what you say. I can totally relate to what you're saying, Dr. Mona. But it is so difficult to see your child failing, falling. So
yeah.
when I generally talk with my friends or my clients, so they say, oh, I mean, it's so huge. I mean, we are always ready with that platter. So how do you deal at that time? How do you manage that anxiety of seeing your child falling apart, and how do you do that? How, I
So
mean, what do you tell parents at that time?
So, I mean, the parents are always there with a ready-made solution. I mean, yes, if the child is probably, I will not go with my child. I do not go with my children and fight the battles. If they're fighting among friends, I let them fight it. I said, go do it on your own. You will cry, basically, heartbreak hoga, the friendships will go, friends will go. But then, you will learn a lesson how to deal with your friends, so where you went wrong. So I'm always there. I'm always hovering behind the children, letting them, seeing that they are not into any kind of a physical problem in a situation. Even in emotional situations are more important than physical situations. So I'm always there. So this is what how I direct my clients also, that you have to be there with the children. And being there, what I mean by being there is you have to form a rapport with your children, that connection with your children, that the children know, yes, whatever I do, my parents are there. So they know it in their mind, they know it in their heart, that my parents are there unconditionally supporting me. And if I fail, I know I can fall back on them. So I know they already have a plan for them, but they are I'm being, this is what is being done. So when the children know that the parents are always there behind me, and my parents trust me unconditionally, the children have a lot of confidence. So all these heartbreaks and all emotional trauma, whatever happens, it actually takes a little lesser toll on the children in that way.
Okay.
So basically it's forming a strong bond
So how do you
and community.
decide that? How do you form a bond with your kids? Like when you say forming a good bond, so how does it happen?
So forming a bond is having the communication channels open. So, and by communication I mean most of the parents when I talk to them, uh, I mean when they come to me, sabse pehle when I ask them, do you have a good communication channel with your children? So they say, yes, we listen to everything our children tell us. But when I go deeper and I ask them, so half of the time many of the parents, they are either scrolling through their phone, or they have a laptop, or they have some other distraction, and they tell the child, okay, ab baat karte jo, I am listening to what you're saying. right? So but that is not the complete thing. So you have to, if you need to have a good communication with your child, you have to make your child sit in front of you, and you have to look at the child, talk to the child, and probably hold the child. So if you have a dialogue with your child in that way, so you will know not only the words that the children are saying, but also the non-verbal things that are being conveyed by the child. So many of the times, the children, something which is difficult for them, it's not that they hide, but then they are not comfortable in sharing. So if the parent is very well aware of what the child is, if you're looking at the child, so certain signs that the child is hiding something, and then you ask, when the okay, tell me more about it, tell me more about it, and then the child will blurt it out, come up with that. So this is one thing. And once you do that, initially it might not work for everyone, because for 10, 12 years you've not been listening to your child, and suddenly you started. But in slowly, the children will guess, they will know that yes, my parent is like totally involved in me. So once, and children are very smart, they pick up all the signs. And when they know that yes, the parents are, they're actually meaning to listen to me, are actually meaning to know all my problems, then they will slowly start sharing. And once, when the children are sharing, what I advise everyone is not to be judgmental at that time. Accept it what the child is saying. Do
Exactly.
not be judgmental.
I think that's the hardest part to do it, because I mean, we are so much entrained, I would say, or maybe we are so much patterned to judge and say, okay, no, not this way and this way, and guiding. So I mean, I think it will just develop or come by practice.
Practice. So this is why, the name of my book is Raising a Mindful Parent. So this is not that what we have to do something with the child. We have to be that kind of a parent first, who is very mindful of the way we are talking to the child. Just telling the child ki chup ho jao, tumhe kuch nahi pata hai. Just this one simple line, it affects the child subconsciously quite a lot. And
Exactly.
if it happens probably quite frequently, and the parent is saying this line quite frequently, then the child gets a thing, ki main to kuch bhi nahi kar sakta. So slowly the self worth of the child will go down. So it is very important ki the parents have to be very mindful ki what I am doing, how I'm talking to the child. So the parenting is more on working on you rather than working on the child. So
Lovely.
this is why
So
I
love
say
that.
in my book also.
I so love
Yeah.
that notion that it's not about them, it's all about you. So
Yes.
most of the parents, like even me, if I would say, so we always want to put the best foot forward in front of our kids. So like,
Hmm.
we never showing the darker part, darker side, negative emotions to our kids. So what is your viewpoint on this? How you should be when you're into a kind of turbulence inside? So is it, because see, we have, it's like always with parents, no, I have to be perfect parent, but what if I
Yes.
have faults? What do you do at
Yes.
that time?
Yes. So this is what I mentioned, and this is a big chapter in my book. So I mean, share everything with your child, even your hard times, even your negative times, whatever you're going through, share it with the child. Why? Because number one, what happens is when the child is going to grow up, right? Go step into the world, and they will face certain situation. So if the child is all cocooned, for 10, 20 years in the life, and suddenly the harsh realities come, the child is going to be at a loss. कि अब मैं क्या करूं? What happened, all of a sudden? So if the child has seen the struggles of the parents, and the child has seen that parents have come out of it, so the child already has a experience, right? It is like the child has experienced something through the parent. So the children know, okay, yes, the hardships will come, and yes, I have the determination, I am capable of coming out of it, because I've seen my parents do it already. So if my parents can do it, I can also do it. So there is a certain kind of a confidence in the children if they see, if you share everything. Obviously it has to be age appropriate, that if the child is very small, you cannot burden the child with every big things. But yes, do tell the child that yes, I'm going through something very bad. According to the child, age of the child, you can talk to the child. So tell the child that yes, I'm going through this thing. This is happening. Probably, in COVID time, I do not have a job, so we need to conserve our money. So we cannot spend the way we are spending. So just tell the child. The children do understand that. So after some time, when I will get a job, then again we will go back to the holiday that we were going. So talk to the
So
children. So because
basically,
tomorrow,
just having a very clear cut communication and making them your, I think, your best friend, instead of treating them
yes,
like, okay, I am a parent kind.
what happens is if you don't share it, the children know that there is something wrong. I mean, the children know it, right? So
Yeah.
then they will start, their imagination will start running. Ki kya ho gaya, what happened, and their imagination can go anywhere. So they can think of any possible scenario. So to curb their imagination and tell them, this is what is wrong. This is and this is, we will come out of it as a family.
So, Dr. Mona,
So
nowadays, a lot of kids I see are addicted to their gadgets. They are addicted to maybe sugary part or a lot of addictions which just come up. So, what is your say on that?
So addictions, I mean, it is important also for if we talk about the addiction to mobile phones and technology, it is a little bit important. We cannot totally say that it is wrong because the 10 years down the line, this is the what the age is going to be. If you are not tech savvy, you will be out of the game, right? So the children have to be quite advanced in this, and they have to know everything. But yes, if it is that the child is all the time playing computer games on the phone and doing non-productive activities, so for that, yes, why are they doing a non-productive activity? A, because there is no productive activity to do. So if you want your child to leave the phone, so give them something more attractive, give them something more interesting. And the company of the parent is a very attractive and an attractive thing for the children. So make some games for them, spend some time with them, spend the child with the time with the child, because mostly parents do yaar main bol raha hu, why don't you go and watch some TV for some time? Okay, I need to do this work, why don't you play for some time? So we have made the technology as a nanny for the child. So I mean, spend some time, make your schedule your way in such a way that the child gets some time with you. And when the children will start, so that is a time when you can develop hobbies for interests in children. It can be reading, it can be painting, it can be something else, dancing or whatever. So if in case that you are also not there, so the child will go back to those activities rather than to the technology. So we have to be give an alternative to them rather than saying just leave it.
Okay. So, Dr. Mona, as you've been working with a lot of kids and parents, so what is the general issues they come up with, like during this journey of yours being with parents? What is the common issues they all come with, or something you have to share? I mean, you feel this is a thing which needs a need to be pointed out. So, is there anything?
So bullying in school is a very big thing. Most of the parents who come to me, I mean, I have seen children go through a lot of trauma because of the bullying in school happening. So this is something that it's not highlighted quite highlighted, but then most of the children who come to me, they have some kind of a trauma. And when I go down ki kyun ho raha hai, why, what is the root of it, it turns out that they're bullied by someone. And mostly it is the school or the friends around where where they're playing, or any activity classes where they're going, so they are being bullied by someone. So, and bullying is like that is also a very chapter in my book where I talk about the bullies and the children who are being bullied. So they both of them, the one who is bullying and the one who is getting bullied, they both have a emotional reason behind it. So if a child, for example, if a child is like snubbed in the house, or the child is not paid attention to in the house, and most of these days we see that the children are left with the nannies or at the uh, crèche or somewhere. So these children, when they do not have an outlet, any at any place, they do not have they cannot talk to anyone outside at home. So then they find us a soft target, and then they start bullying the bullying them in any form it can be. And when they see that the child has got scared, samne wala, the child got scared, so they get a gratification out of it. They feel good, so they're snubbed in the house, so here they feel in power, in control, so then they start doing it more. So this is the psychology behind the children who bully others. So
Okay.
this is why I say, that many of the parents, that if your child is and parents take a pride. I have seen a few parents, they take a pride that my child is bullying. वो bully कर रहा है ना, खुद तो नहीं हो रहा, किसी से दब के तो नहीं आ रहा, so that is a good thing. So,
Yeah.
but then I try to tell them, go behind it and see what your child is suffering. So please talk to your child, and bullying is one thing, and then the other thing is, yes, the addiction of technology. That is another very big thing. So mothers are like, the children don't listen to me, but from I think 6 months of age, they are given a mobile, and they are given, this certain nursery rhymes are played on the mobile, and everything is done. So from an age of 6 years, 6 months, if you are
Yes.
hooking the child onto a
I have
technology.
seen very often in the parents, like if the child is not eating, it's the very easiest or the
Yeah.
smart way. Okay, just give him the mobile and feed him up, or things are done, and I'm sorted if he has a mobile. So how do you deal? I mean, what would you say such mothers to be? I mean, like sometimes when I talk with people, I said, okay, my child doesn't eat because if I won't give that gadget in his hand, he will not eat. He will just run around. So is
Mhm.
there a way how?
Yes, definitely. I mean, before the mobile, how the mothers used to feed the children, right? They used to tell them some stories, right? Story sunai कि अरे वो आगे आके खा जाएगा, ऐसे करेगा. There was like a little bit some stories, or there's some monkey is coming, monkey will take your bite, this will take your bite. So you're talking to the child. That's such a good way of bonding with the child. So you're telling them children certain stories, and those stories did have a moral at the end. There were so many things. It was not only just feeding the child, but it was forming a connection with the child. It was forming trying to inculcate some values in the child. And if you're talking about animals also, it is some kind of values that you are indirectly imparting to the child. So that kind of feeding was serving a lot of purpose. But now what happens is, like, put on the TV, and the mother is probably also on the phone, and just giving, when the mouth is empty, they just put something in the mouth. So, and that way, without a gadget, if you're feeding the child knows what the child is eating. Okay, now it is a fruit that you're eating, the fruits come in this way, the apples are like this. So you can talk so many things with the child, so there is a lot of bonding which happens.
True.
So sadly, that is
That
missing
is
these days.
all. Yes, exactly. So you
Everyone,
talk,
it's a
sorry, you talk a lot about understanding your child's emotions, which I,
yes.
for me also was like, okay, how do you do that? How do you understand? Because if my child would back answer, I would be on the top voice, and I would just, okay, you can't
Yes.
be like this, you can't be angry, you can't express like that. I mean, being a good framed child, the child has to be this way. So what is your say on this?
So I have a very big course, and this is my main thing of telling people, to parents, to understand the emotions of the children. So it starts from a very young age. If a small child is crying all the time, okay, so we label the child that he's a rota rehta hai sara time, it's a rondu, right? The child is crying all the time, but nobody tries to understand why the child is crying. Okay? If the child is hungry, the child will cry. If the child is feeling sad, the child will cry. If the child has a pain somewhere, the child will cry. So if it's scared, the child will cry. So if you introduce the child to the emotion, that talk to them, why are you crying at that time? So the child will in some way say that I'm hungry. So then you tell the child, you're hungry, so you should ask for food and not cry, right? Same way, if the child has a pain or something, so just talk to the children that this is the emotion, which is it starts from very small basic things. So this is the pain that you are having, so you should tell me to put something. If your finger is paining, tell me finger is paining, I will put something around it, right? So you don't have to cry for everything. So from a very small point, if we start doing it, So the children know that, this is what I'm feeling. And when they grow up as a teenager, it happens, people say ki teenagers, so they don't talk to us. We don't know what is happening into their life. So why? Because you've pushed the child from away from you unconsciously. Consciously, every parent doesn't do it, but they don't know that they are pushing away the child, right? So if the child shouts back, you like you said, I will shout back at the child that how dare you talk to me like that. But just say that, okay, come, don't talk to, this is a rule in our house that we will not shout at each other, so please come and sit with me, tell me the reason why you did that. Have a dialogue with the child. So this is what I meant by, dialogue and communication. They are like one of the main pillars of parenting. So
Pillar.
talk to the child, why did you shout at me in the first place? So whatever the child says, so then non-judgmentally listen to the child, and then take a step back, because probably the child will say something which you don't like. So take a few breaths and then respond to the child, instead of like, shouting ki, mere samne you cannot talk like that, I am the mother, how can you talk to me like that?
Right.
So
Love.
these are certain mindfulness, you have to slip somewhere in between.
So,
So how to
what's
do?
your take on saying? I mean, most of the people whom I talk to, they say, okay, when it's being a parent, I mean, as we began, we were just having this conversation that when a child and a mother, I mean, the problem isn't this always with the kids, but somewhere our unconscious patterning as a parent. So, do you agree to that even?
Yes, yes, yes. These are all our beliefs, because the way we were raised. So the way we were raised and our parents raised us. So we are trying to put everything, copy the same way of parenting with our children, not realizing that now the times have changed. And what I was like when I was a child, my child is very different from me, right? I saw how my parents brought me up. I cannot copy that on my child, because I know she is a different personality, she has a different temperament. I cannot copy that on my child. So the parents have to understand that. And the one thing which I, from your forum, I would like to address to people is that please know a little bit about parenting, and not copy what your parents did with you, because that was learn about parenting. It has to be this is where the gap is coming, that we never realize that we have to learn parenting. So if you get a mobile phone also, you get a manual. If you get a computer, you get a manual. This is the way this thing will work. But with a child, you don't know. You will like, bacha hai na, doodh khana khila do, and just give the basic needs of the child, and the child will grow up fine. But no, it doesn't happen that way. So all these beliefs that we have, carried on from our time, so we are putting the same to the children. So हमारे टाइम पे होता था रोना अच्छी बात नहीं है, boys should not cry, or girls should be behaved like that. But the times are changing, so we have to have a 2.0 version of parenting also.
Wow, that was a lovely, amazing talk with you, Dr. Mona, and I'm sure our viewers would definitely benefit from whatever it is. So, before we wind up, do you have any few tips which you would like to give it to our viewers, and any few tips you would like to give
So
them?
what I always say the parents, the main pillars of parenting: communication, communication, communication with your child. Try to form communication. If you have a solid communication channel with your child, the children will come up and tell you anything in the world, right? I have seen it with my children. I have seen it with so many children that I counsel, and the parents that I counsel, that if you form that solid communication and that trust with your children, don't say ki, okay, I will do something in front of the child and something behind the back of the child. That should not be there. And the other thing is judgment. Don't be very judgmental about the child. Take a step back, and do not react, but respond after some time. If you do not like something, take a step back and respond when you are cool mentally yourself. So I think these are the very important things
And if
that
people want to get in touch with you, where they can find you, and
Yes, so on Facebook, I'm available as my Facebook page is Dr. Mona Gujral. So they can find me, or my Facebook ID is Mona Gujral otherwise. And Instagram also Dr. Mona Gujral. I'm on YouTube also on Dr. Mona Gujral. and I think this is my book that,
Yes.
what I've spoken about quite a lot. So
Yes.
this is Raising a Mindful Parent.
Lovely.
So, this is in this book, and I have integrated practices of parenting with spirituality. So
Okay.
how to have that spiritual outlook, or a mindful outlook towards the parenting, what the traditional form of parenting is.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mona, for your time. And thank you, viewers, for listening to us, being with us. And I hope this will transform your relationship with your kids, even. If you want to hang up with us, you can join my Facebook group. And till then, bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and love yourself a little more. Thank you all. See you on the other side.